when you open up a Premiere product, you have two different ways of that. The Premiere product you and I are now working with is called Premiere Pro version 2021 version. I said it is upper right-hand corner. Go into the application, go into the Premiere Pro, and it tells you it is version 15.2. Now, you know by now that if you open up Premiere Pro, it goes through the process of asking you the following things. Premiere Pro opens up. It's going to ask you, what is that you want to do? Do you want to open up a new project? Do you want to open up an existing project? Or you want to open up, and this is something where you and I will need to say hello to a new friend, open up a production. I will show you what the difference between a project, opening an existing project, and production is. So if you open up a new project, you go to the process of defining where it's going to be. You also define where the scratch disk is going to be. And you also define, are you going to be linking in or ingesting? And that's traditionally how you started projects. On the other hand, if you open up an existing project, the open up project directs you to where the projects are, and the PRPORJ is the project. And I told you just minutes ago that if you have an existing project, let's say O3 was an existing project, if I open it up, the computer will say, excuse me, this was done on an earlier version, therefore you want to have an update. Yes, so you update it. So those are the basic scenarios that you may be familiar with. Now, let's get out of that. And let me show you something new. This product that is part of now the Premiere family is called a production. And the production works the following way. Please watch it. Premiere Pro opens up. And instead of opening up one project, and then you open up additional project as you go along, you will open up in the file drop down something called a production. Now, the production is a gathering of projects. So you can actually say, I'm going to open up a project because I already have one preset for you because I preset it, open it up. And this is a compilation or grouping of all the projects that I have available. What's the benefit of this? Well, the benefit of this is twofold. One, you have access to all the material and all the stuff is linked already. So how do you bring it in? You would right click inside and you want to add a project to production. That's how you create this production and you add different projects to it. But in my case, I already have them done. Watch how simple it is to make these guys work. Instead of left double clicking and making the link happen, why will it link? Because I already did that. Okay, so the handshake was done. It remembers where the material is. I relinked it, but watch this. This is the coolest thing. If I select all of the projects that I relinked in the past and the computer knows they are part of the production, right click on it and you're gonna open up all of them. Look at how they all relink. And you can see how fast it is. Well, depending on the processor speed and how much RAM you have. So the production now contains all the elements that you and I have put together as part of a environment. Why would you do that? You're working for a network and you have 5 days of the week to work with. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So instead of having them separately, you have all together. So you can actually mix and match and move footage and work with the footage that is available. How would you access it? Well, if you switch from the production view back to the regular editing view, rearranging my real estate obviously is always going to be an issue. You guys know that by now. If you click on the program tilde, that makes it full screen. Tilde brings it back. Come on. If you go into the project that is new stuff, hit that tilde, that brings it up full screen. So these are the keyboard shortcuts that you're familiar with. But my intent is very, very specific. I need to show you tools and elements that are now part of the 2021. So I kind of discussed the issue of the project as opposed to production. Let me rearrange my environment. Production or project. How do you save a production? You park on the not individual project, but on the production window. And in the production window, you do save all and save all. And it saves it. Where is it living? Well, it lives on an environment that you defined. Let me get out of here just to show you one more time how to get it. I'm going to quit And if I have a production, when I open up Premiere Pro, it will know that I do have, in this case, I have 2 of them already. When I open it up, I'm opening up not a project, not a new project, but file. And I do have already one. I'm not creating one production. I'm opening a production. So the production is going to open up. It will identify that I have 2 places where I have that. I have one smart theme. I'm doing a class as we speak when we get done with this. But here is, open it up. And for the last time, relink all the elements. How? Highlight all the elements and right click and open up all the projects in that production. It should go very smooth. So now you have access to each of those guys. Where are they? Well, you can define that you're going to work with project 10. So all the material is there from project 10. You can copy paste media from there. You can go into lesson project 12. So you can copy, make things, open up things, work with things. So this is where the flexibility comes in. And I highly recommend you consider thinking about the production from now on. With that, I need to have the new stuff. And the new stuff, according to what I have, is in the new stuff project. Here's where I left off. Open up the new stuff and open up a sequence from the new stuff, which is going to be the open sequence. Here it is. So Adobe Stock Music is a new thing. Scene detection, quick export, and new captions are going to be available for you. How do those guys relate, or how do they make your life easier? Depends on what you are looking for. So the Adobe Stock Music means the following. Let's, you and I, open up a video that has elements of pictures. So how do I access the sound? Where is the sound? In the window drop down, you should be able to find a essential sound window option. When the essential sound option shows up, in the upper right-hand corner, you can define that you're not editing, but you're browsing. And when you're browsing, you are browsing in the Adobe Stock Music. So you can actually play something. I just want to make sure that Command, comma, my sound is going out in the audio hardware in the Zoom device so you can hear the sound. If you don't hear the sound, I need you to chat back to me, but you should be able to hear the sound. So while I'm playing actually the timeline, look at it and see it's playing it. How do I make it part of the element? Somebody's chatting me. Let's see what's going on. So you can actually grab the music and you can say, well, I'm not going to look for some whatever preset is. I'm going to look for a specific mood. And this is where you can get really esoteric about it. So let's say I'm going to have some playful music, whatever the playful music is. Okay. Okay, it's playful, silly. How does it become part of the sequence? Well, guess what? You drag it and you put it in. That's it. It's part of the sequence now. Wow, that's simple. That's what it is. No, I don't like this one. It's too silly. Get something else. Don't get playful. Get something romantic. All right, what's romantic? Let's find out. Okay, romantic. And you can see how it's playing along within the timeline. I'm reading at the chat, what the chat is. Pay license to this music. Very good question. I don't think that I have to, because I pay for the annual membership. So if you don't have it, you probably have to pay for it. I don't want to say something I have not tested. In my system, because I am doing the yearly subscription, I get it. So it's in my system automatically. Now, if I want to put something in, again, grab it. There we go. So put it under and put it under. Now you're manipulating it. This is cool. If you like it, please, by all means, use it. If you don't care for it, I'm sorry. Oh, by the way, I don't see the waveform. Why not? Because maybe my timeline doesn't show the waveform. So go into the wrench and show up the waveform. Now I see the waveform and there's the music. So what I'm going to do is just set the window back to normal editing. I have more real estate. If it doesn't kick in, I have an issue with that. But my point is that I brought some music in. And if I need to reset it to default, I like to reset it to default so I see all the other elements. There we go. And now I have all the other lessons to work with, to pick music from. My scenario is I'm using the project, the lesson called New Stuff in 2021. So I have some preset things that I prep for you. And the ones that I have are going to be now the next one. Adobe Stock Music, I just covered. I covered the production. Let's talk about scene edit detection. What is that doing for you and why would you use that? Here is the friend of mine who does this particular thing. Watch this. I have a video that I got from, and this is how it looks like. It is a video with a whole bunch of cuts in it. I don't know if you care for this music, and I don't know if you like this, but essentially you have to understand there's a whole bunch of cuts on it. Cuts. Cuts. You see that's whole cuts. So now the question is, how do you make that work for you? Well, the way that I would do that is, let's say, bring in a clean and whatever I have, open sequence. If I want to create a brand new sequence, you know how to do that. You can click on the clip, right click on it. And on the right click, you should be able to, in the drop down, create a new sequence from clip. Let's see if it works. So now I have that whole timeline filled with a contiguous QuickTime. If you have the version 2021, and if everything works, by right-clicking on it, you should be able to find some area where it will give you a choice of doing the scene detection, cut scene detection, okay? And there is a scene detection edit. Do you see that choice? If I click on it, it will probably analyze it and it will take some time. And this is where you define what is that you want to do. Do you want to apply a cut at each detected cut point? So it's going to chop up your sequence. Do you want to create a bin where you're going to put those things in? Or are you going to do clip markers? I'm not going to waste time, but definitely these are the choices that you might consider. I will see if the computer recognizes those scene cuts. It might take about 25, 30 seconds. So I need to talk in the middle. And it is analyzing the clips. And as it is analyzing, it is chopping it up. Now, there is at least 35 or 40 cuts on this 3.5-minute promo we have in this video. So as the computer is doing it, clearly it is taking time, but it's a process because the artificial intelligence, if that's what you are calling it, artificial intelligence is doing it, it needs to understand where the electronic impulse changes. So when it is done, let's see if it is correct. Was it correctly, precisely cutting it down? So when I get done in about 15 seconds, again, depending on how long your material is, how many cuts you have, dissolves are a little bit harder to define. Just a note for you guys. So let's see if it is doing it. This is real time. This is not fake. This is not preset. This is not something that I assembled and I artificially made it for you. And this is doing it real time. If the system is functioning right, and if the material is conducive, or I should say useful for this, in 10 seconds, 9, 8, let me count it down. I should have all the clips cut up in a timeline. And when I have it, there we go. So each of these clips are now cut up. Now, if you look at, there's a cut. And if you look at it, if I zoom in with the plus, you notice that, yeah, I'm cutting it. If you want to see the precision of the cutting with your keyboard, Command Option K, with the up and down, go to previous or go next, I will be able to jump from cut to cut, go to the beginning, home, cut, 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 cut. So it cuts it really precisely where I thought the cuts would be. Look at it, whole bunch of them. So it did a serious job. If you want to double check it, and again, the issue is double checking it. Cuts on the cut, that's it, exactly on the frame. Precisely. So the dissolves are going to be probably an issue. Anyways, where do you find the keyboard presets? The keyboard presets on the Macintosh, Command Option K, and they should pop up. Command Option K, and the keyboard shortcuts are there. Now, keep in mind that if you're an editor from a different family, you are able to use those keyboard shortcuts like in the one I'm showing, I'm not going to say the name of it. nor the other one, but you can pick them. I generally think that if you're a novice, especially in New York, we call it bilingual or trilingual. In New York, you have to know Premiere and this other product and this other product. Maybe there's another product by Blackmagic, but essentially default is your best way, because anything that you learn, anything that I show, anything that other people, either from FMC or other places you train show, they will talk about the defaults. Anyways, point is that Command Option K. If you know how you got there, you can also in the Premiere Pro drop down, and there is a keyboard shortcut on the Windows. I'm not sure if it is Control Alt K. Double check it. I don't want to say something wrong. Okay, my time is moving along, so I need to go back and see what I said. In the first one, which was the default open, I said that there is something seen, edit the section we did there. What's the quick export? Oh, that's a new tool. Okay, how does that work? If you put together this particular Asbury thing, okay, and you chopped it up, which in this case, I believe we chopped it up. There we go. How do you export it? In the past, you remember that you hold down Command and M, and then you exported it, and the export tool came up, and you define what are you exporting. Now, this new tool that we have is, look in the upper right-hand corner of my window of the sequence. There is an icon, it says Quick Export. So if I click on that, the drop-down gives me a whole bunch of choices. Well, which choices? It gives me the choice of how I'm going to export it based on, I'm going to move it in the middle so you can see it. I don't want to, no, I don't want to do dictation. The drop-down choices are adaptive, high bit rate, and so on. So you can actually define how you're going to export it. But the point I am making here is that instead of going into the Command M and go to the whole process of defining what your export is, you can park on a timeline. You can pick a sequence. It doesn't matter which one it is. And that sequence can be exported. Let me find out if I can make that work. By clicking on the quick export, here's the quick export, where if you double click on the blue naming, you know that you can route it. I will route it on the desktop because I need to make sure that it's on the desktop. And on the desktop, I will say, hey, on my drive, I can find it, desktop, and I'll call it Friday. There we go. And save it there. If I did my job right, and I don't need to worry about the H264 or the 1280, these are the presets that go with the match source. I will activate the export, and let's see if it goes out. The export contains low quality, that's fine, unlicensed. Oh, the music needs to be played for. But if I did the export and I did the excoding, there we go, master clip, let's see how fast it does the work. I'm up to like 60, 70, 80%. Let's see if it worked. Got it. Command H hides the Premiere. And on the desktop, I should see that export. Double clicking on it, it's 1280. Here it is. So it did export it very efficiently. Well, I don't want to wait for it, but you notice that it is done. So now that tool should be added to your tool set, and the icon is very recognizable. It looks like a box with the arrow up there. So that's the quick export. Let's see, what else do we have here? There is something that we use in the past, and I'm not sure if you ever used the captions. Captions to me were like very practical, especially if we do multilingual distribution of the same content. So you're multi-purposing stuff. So if you want to have some captions added to it, and let's say that there was some narration, all that narration that was available, you would be able to import that caption from where? Let's make the window full window so you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you right click and you import it, and I do have some captions set up in my assets, and in my assets it's closed captions. And the captions I'm going to use is not the text, but the SCC, which is a format. And this is where you can hire a company to transcribe whatever you are having, and they're going to give you a format back. So I'm going to bring in then NFCC, PSA, SCC. What does that do? How does it work? Remember, I told you if you bring it in, you drop it in as if it's clip. Look at it. I will use the default, and let's see if it is working. They come in. Wait a minute. Looks like clips. Yes, it does. It looks like clips. And the information that was given to you is now, it's your car. you take your people to trust. Okay, so it's acting like clip. Does it mean that if I click on it, can I drag it? Yes, I can. Can I use my tool? A selects everything from the right, move everything down. Well, not the video, not the audio, so lock those guys, but definitely I'm going to grab and move everything further down. Can I extend it like we do with the clip trimming? Yes, you can extend it. Can I see a whole bunch of these guys? If I double click on one of them, they all show up in a window and they tell me what is being typed. If you are car, you can take it to people to trust. Ha, ha, ha. Maybe I can add some information to it. Ha, ha, ha. Generally, when you do the captions, it is capital. So if I did my job right now, that's added to it instantly. Look at that. You can obviously play with the position of it, and you can spend time with it, but this is a demo. This is a webinar, so I don't have the luxury of spending this much time with it. But essentially, you can select the font, the background, and all the rest of the stuff. And the most important thing, which is what I like, if you are done with things and you say, I would like to add some more, at that time, you have to follow the guidelines of the timeline principles. So you cannot add within, maybe past. At this point, if I passed it and if I click on the plus sign, does it add another one? Yeah, it does. So I'm going to call it the show is over. And if I look at it, what I typed in, yeah, the show is over. Did I activate it? No, I don't see it because, oh, the background is different. What's missing? Well, I don't have the background properly set up. So I do need to make sure that the background is selected as black. And if I did my job right, it should kick in. There we go. There's the black and the font type.
There's a bottom one that says Optima.
There we go. Optima. Thank you very much. Thank you. So here you can test the font. And because you are in the Adobe family, you can actually see what the font will look like before you even pick it. My friendly tool. And because the duration is set up a certain way, you can actually drag it out. Zooming into it is plus, grab the tail of it and have it last longer. I like it a lot, especially if you're dealing with this at all. If you don't deal with this, again, it is not something that you may use, but I just wanted to print that out to you and bring it to your attention. So that takes care of the captions. Now, these are all the quickie ones that I had, but I want to show you something that if you're an editor and you have been working with Premiere, you may have run into this scenario where you need to add an effect to multiple segments or multiple layers or things of that sort. If you understand that you have an effect that you can add to one single layer, in this case, I have already effects. I'm going to do a clean and show you what the effect will be. In my scenario, everything is kind of now away. Oh, by the way, if you want to show the capture, you can turn it on or turn it off. So you can turn it on and off. Anyways, Windows drop down, workspaces, reset everything to the editing, the default. And let's continue working on it. Take some time to reset it, clear the source monitor, and let's say hello to our new friends. Now, I have a number of shots that I would like to apply a special effect to. And these shots are 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. In order for you to apply an effect, you know that it is going to require that you go into the effects family, go into the effects. And in this case, I'm going to apply an effect that is going to be something that is distorting, like a mirror image. So if I add the mirror image to it, okay, it kind of needs to do something. And if it doesn't do anything, I probably have to activate the effect controls and see what the mirror does. Okay, so if I need to have the mirror, it actually shows you that kind of mirror thing. And that animation to me is kind of silly, but you know that this is one of those effects that needs to be rendered no matter what. Now, if I would like to have that effect applied to everybody, not just 1 and 3, there are ways of doing that. How do you go about it? You select them, individually hold down Shift, 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 and you apply the same effect. That's how you did that in the past. And that's how things are. So everybody has that effect. Wait a minute, but I didn't animate it. Oh man, I didn't animate it. Can I use the copy paste? Yes, watch this. If you have an animation on it and you Command C it, copy, you can right click on the next one that is to be animated And in the drop down, you can actually paste the attribute. So it will paste the attribute, and it now does the animation on the second one. First one, third one. Because I would like to add it to the 3 additional ones, holding down Shift, 2, 3, and now they will be pasting the attributes. So now all 5 of them will be animating the same way. Mirror, 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 and so on. That's when you do it individually per clip. That's fine. Can you remove the effects? Yes. Click on them. You can do globally. I generally globally select it. And in the right click, you remove all the attributes, and that is the mirror. So now that should be clean. Another way of doing things, and this is going to be a color effect, instead of applying one color effect to one of them, I have a tool. You guys know that tool. That is called adjustment layer. How does one add an adjustment layer? You would create an adjustment layer. You know how to do that. Let me just refresh your understanding. You right click, and in the new item, you add an adjustment layer. I did already once, so I prepped it for you. So the adjustment layer is going to be dragged onto the top of the timeline. And the adjustment layer by definition is a specific length. What is the length? Command comma. When I created things in the timeline, it is a 10 seconds. So still image, the same thing works for adjustment layer. So the duration is defined there. You have 2 choices. You can extend it by clicking onto the trim tool, which in this case is going to regular trim tool. There we go. You can drag it out, which is kind of tedious. So you're going to say hello to your new friend. If you don't know this friend, park at the end. Where is the end? At the end. And do make sure that is only the video track 2. You're going to hold down Shift and Q. It should extend it. The same principle that you understand that works when you hit W, it cuts off the tail. Cuts off the tail. In this case, if you cut off the beginning, which is Q, it cuts off and everything shrinks. But in this case, I'm going to reverse it, go to the end of it. End of it. Hello. There we go. And do a Shift Q and extends it. So now you have a box, a container, a basket where you can put stuff in. What kind of stuff? Well, let's do some color stuff. What kind of color? Silly color, crazy color. Crazy color is found in the Lumetri. Effects, presets, Lumetri effects. And in the Lumetri effects, you can put up some cinematic and all that stuff. No. I would like to do something creative. What do you mean creative? I have a friend called Lumetri. Lumetri color grading, color. Look at it, opens up the Lumetri tools. I'm going to brighten up things. I'm going to do the contrast, and everybody's going to respond to it. Oh, it's turned off. Turn it on. There we go. So everybody responds to that brightening. But I would like to make it very cool, which means that I'm going to take off the red, and push the blue, which means that I'm going to make it like a very cold blue. There we go. So it is all bluish. Now, elements that have blue will respond better. The reason why I did this is because you and I now have a scenario where somebody says, can you take that effect off? Yes. 2 choices, turn it off or take it off. The interesting thing here that I'm going to show you is if you understand that this is a master clip with clean, where does it live? No idea. Click on the drop down and say, show me where you are. There it is. I'm going to call it not clean. I'm going to call it contains adjustment layer. So that contains adjustment layer. If you want to create a brand new sequence, and by definition, you can create a brand new sequence a couple of ways. One of them is Command N. There we go. I'm going to create a brand new sequence. I'm going to call it webinar for you. And when it creates, it says, okay, I'm empty. If I grab that sequence and I put it in, now I have a sequence that is nested. So the elements of it are in. The only problem is that it was 1287.20. So if I need to make sure that it fits into 1980, right click on it. Remember, sit to frame size. Now it's back. Now the producer says, I would like to have that effect off of it. Oh, how do you turn it off? This turns off the whole video track. You have to step inside. It opens up the original and now turn the effect off. If you go back again, now the effect is off of it. Very interesting. Okay. So now if you step inside one more time, which one is it? It's the one. Put the back effect. There we go. Applies to everybody. Close it. There we go. The effect is on. The benefit of this particular one is the following. You do have all the elements that are inside adjusted by that one color adjustment, if that is useful to you. Guys, going back to the original, hey, I covered most of the things. There we go. And I talked about some of the FX layers. The new captions, very practical. Quick export, definitely very practical. Adobe Stock Music, you guys figure out if you need to pay for it. I am reading the last chat of the day. Stack more one effect on the adjustment layer, and is that layer savable? Okay, let's find out. So if you have a effect, can you stack more effects in one of it? Let's go and add some stupid effect on top of that. Spherize it. So I'm going to add some sphere, and because I did not animate it, it might be a good idea for me to do the effect controls. And if I look at the sphere, what kind of sphere? Okay, radius was the radius. Okay, so here's the radius, but it applies to everybody. So that whole layer is going to contain that sphere. You see that? But it is not part of it. You can turn off and on individually inside that nest, or you can save it. And when you say save it, you can say save the lumetri color, right click, save a preset, as well as use the sphere. I'm not sure if that's the answer you're looking for, but definitely in the nest, if I do the master clip, double click on it, webinar for you, there we go. It contains all those things already. To turn it off, you have to go back to the original sequence that was the nested sequence. I'm sure I have more questions. And for some of you, this might have been something that you knew about. For some of you, this might have been something that you will use a lot, use a little bit. I just hope that you got something out of this quick rundown. The main point here is that now all your elements, all the projects, the media is available for you. So you can actually grab all the other things that you have, and these are now all linked. They are all linked, so you can actually grab, move material from project to project, and you know how it worked. If you had a good time with that, my name is Tibor. We are Future Media Concept. So if you liked this Adobe Premiere Pro, I'm going to get out of here. And if you liked what we had, please remember we are Future Media Concept. And if you want to say hello to us, we have a site, we have classes, come to see us. Stay healthy, enjoy the weekend, and I thank you for your attention. My name is Tibor. I hope you had a good time. I'm out. Goodbye, everybody, and good luck to you.